Hey guys and girls, how's it going? Hope you guys are having a great week. So this is the first of two videos on the Uncharted series. They are designed to get you ready for Uncharted 4, which is due for release on the 10th of May. This first video will focus exclusively on the main characters that you need to know to gain a full appreciation for their personalities and experiences before playing the final installment. The main characters that we are introduced to in Uncharted 1 are Nathan Drake, Victor Sullivan and Elena Fisher. These become recurring characters throughout the series and experience both character growth and progression during the three games, which will be explored in this video, along with some side characters that must be mentioned. In Uncharted 1, Nathan Drake, or Nate for short, is introduced to us as a wisecracking treasure hunter with a passion for history and a bigger passion for getting himself into dangerous situations. Think Indiana Jones meets Nathan Fillion's Captain Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly. He introduces himself as the long-lost descendant of Sir Francis Drake, the famous English sea captain / pirate of Elizabethan times. Drake keeps a memento from his supposed ancestor around his neck, a ring worn by Sir Francis Drake that reads Sic Parvis Magna, and this literally translates to greatness from small beginnings. Very little is known about Drake's past in the first two games. It's not until the third game that we discover a lot more about his origins. We discover that in the first two games he actually lied to us, and that Drake is not even his real name. In fact, his supposed connection to the famous Sir Francis Drake is actually a made-up one. In reality, Drake is an orphan and was raised in an orphanage until the age of 10, when he bumps into Victor Sullivan in Colombia after stealing an artifact in a museum from under Sully's nose. After being chased by Catherine Marlowe and her goons across the rooftops, a young Drake is saved by Sully, who quickly realizes Nate's potential, adopts him and becomes his mentor. Much of Drake's past is still shrouded in mystery, but with the new appearance of his previously thought to be dead brother, Sam, in A Thief's End, it's pretty clear that we will discover much more about his origins and his relationship with his brother. The second character that we meet in the first game is Elena Fisher. She is an extremely likable and feisty journalist who will go to any lengths for a great story. She is a match for Drake in every way, both intellectually and in her climbing and shooting prowess, and many have referred to her as the female Drake. She is also a recurring love interest throughout the series. In the first game, Elena starts out as a very naive girl about town character who continually supports Drake and stays optimistic throughout most of the first game, in spite of all the obstacles and dangers faced. Throughout all three games, Elena and Drake have a very on and off again relationship. They are reunited in the second game, with Elena now having become a much more successful and charismatic reporter. She seems less naive and more worldly, though at her core she is still a good-hearted person, encouraging Nate to do the right thing and to save the world. Unfortunately, her compassion and good nature nearly gets her killed after being wounded by a grenade. In between 2 and 3, Drake and Elena develop their romance and actually marry, though in the middle of the third game we discover that their marriage did not last and that they are now estranged and separated. Much of this has to do with Elena's inability to support Drake and watch her friends and loved ones risk death and injury on a daily basis. It's clear her near-death experience has changed her outlook on life, and at the end of the third game, both Elena and Drake agree to retire and live their married life in peace. It is at this point that we find our two lovebirds in Uncharted 4. While we know Drake comes out of retirement to help his long-lost brother, it's safe to assume that Elena will not be best pleased about this, and it may cause some tension between the two. Finally, to round out our trio, we have Victor Sullivan, or as his friends like to call him, Sully. Sully has known Drake a long time, since he was a child. Sully acts as a partner and father figure to Nate, while Drake is more interested in the archaeological finds and historical research element to their treasure hunting. Sully is far more interested in the treasure aspect. This is no doubt due to the many debts that he has from making deals with the shadier elements of society. Sully often finds himself in a bind, which Drake repeatedly has to get him out of. While Nate frequently teases Sully, calling him an old man, it's clear that he cares about him deeply and takes strength from Sully's presence, encouragement and advice. Sully is your Han Solo of the bunch. He likes to pretend that his motivations for being in the gang are completely selfish and motivated by greed and self-interest, but when push comes to shove, he will always lay down his life to save his friends, especially Drake and Elena, who he thinks of as family. One of the running jokes in all 3 games is just how old Sully is, and that he might be too old for the treasure hunting game. In the 3rd game, we were even teased that he may die trying to keep up with Nate. Without a question, we know that Sully will drop everything to help Drake in Uncharted 4, but just how far he is willing to go, and if it will ultimately cost him his life, remains to be seen. Finally, let's focus briefly on 2 of these side characters that may reappear in Uncharted 4, Chloe Fraser and Charlie Cutter. Chloe Fraser is introduced in the 2nd game. Hired by a mysterious benefactor, she teams up with Nate to help find the location of Marco Polo's lost fleet and the lost city of Shambhala. We learn early on that they have a history together, and they rekindle their relationship in the game. When comparing Chloe to Elena, you could say that she is the complete opposite. She is feisty and sensual. She has a darker side to her and aggressively looks after her own interests. In fact, throughout much of the 2nd game, we don't know which side she is on, as she appears to betray Drake on several occasions, siding with the villains. It's only later that we realise she was playing a double agent and wants to help Drake and actually cares about him. At the end of the 2nd game, Chloe realises that Drake is still in love with Elena, and so bows out gracefully, allowing Drake and Elena to rekindle their romance. She makes an appearance in 3 to help Drake, but it's clear that their brief romance is over. It has not been announced whether or not she will appear in Uncharted 4, but I hope she will, especially as she's voice acted by the incredibly talented Claudia Black. We are introduced to Charlie Cutter in the 3rd game. At first as an antagonist. Soon though, Cutter is revealed to be an ally and a longtime friend of Nate, Sully and Chloe's. He is a British fortune hunter and from an outward appearance looks like a common thug. However, in reality, he is just as intelligent as Drake and as humorous. Cutter frequently adds levity to the game and is willing to sacrifice himself for his friends, nearly doing so towards the end of the 3rd game. Thankfully, he does not have to and escapes with Chloe with nothing more than a broken ankle. We know he is in the multiplayer on Uncharted 4, but if he will make an appearance in the single player remains to be seen. I hope he will be there, as I found him to be an extremely likeable and interesting character. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the main characters that you need to know for Uncharted 4. I hope you guys found this video useful in setting the scene, and I will be doing one more video where I basically outline the main events in the first 3 games, so look forward to that, guys. Alright guys and girls, well take care, and as always, happy gaming!